All right. Hello. Welcome. My name is Bryan,
And I'm Brian.
and this is Bryan versus Bryan. One game, one name, two perspectives. Uh, we started this little YouTube channel. We're going to get together and have some friendly debate conversations about games we've played or are excited to play. Maybe throw in some movies along the way, maybe some pop culture, just whatever we want to talk about, whatever you want us to talk about as well. I never thought I'd say this. I hate this, but please, if you enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, and hit that stupid ass bell. All right. Without further ado, let's get into episode 1, Bryan versus Bryan, The Last of Us, part 2. All right. So, let's go over a little bit of number 1, right? Because that's going to bring us to 2, I think.
Yeah, I think it's important. Yeah.
All right. So, Last of Us was a PlayStation 3 exclusive. Came out in 2013, right at the tail end of the PS3 life cycle. Looked gorgeous. Fucking amazing looking game for the time. Kind of the same exact thing with this. Right at the end. Probably the most graphically impressive PS4 game I've seen. Some others come close, so it's hard to say, but it's right up there. Yeah, so what is your experience with the first game?
Well, I think the first game may be my favorite game of all time. Like my personal
Whoa.
favorite. Yeah. I don't know if I would consider it like the best game ever made, but it's my personal favorite game. I think it's the first video game that I can think of that I've played that um, showed showed the bridge of narrative and video game. You know what I mean? Like I know open worlds do kind of the same thing, but it wasn't as tight as The Last of Us, I think. Like they gave you characters you cared about, they gave you a plot that you cared about, and the full 10 hours like you're in it. Like I didn't want to put the controller down the whole time.
For
So
sure.
for that, like that's what got me, and that's why it's my favorite game of all time. I'm still going back and forth of whether I like this one better. Um, as it stands, and my opinion may change over time, but as it stands, I think the first one is just a tighter experience. I think it's overall better. But I do think that this one does um, a lot of things better than the first one. It enhances a lot of aspects of the first one. So I
Yeah,
kind of go back and forth with like where I would rate them. But yeah, overall, I mean, my history of The Last of Us. I'm wearing an Ellie shirt. I named my dog Ellie, so it's like this. The first one was very important to me, and I was extremely. I had high hopes for the second one, and I was, for the most part, pretty happy.
for sure. I echo most of those responses. Uh, I don't know if it's probably not in the running for my favorite game, but it doesn't mean it's not an amazing game. I love it. The story was amazing, like you said. It's like a well, Naughty Dog.
Yeah,
They're known for this story-based games that you don't want to put down because it's like a film. You don't want to stop the movie your first time watching it. You want to get all the way through it. It's very similar to this. Yeah, it was
I,
really.
I, yeah, and I think the seeds were there. I mean, I'm a huge fan of their previous Uncharted series, and I think that it all kind of starts there in terms of at least character. I mean, I think Nathan Drake, Sully, Elena, Chloe. I think all those characters are rad, and that's what makes me play those games. Aside from like the set pieces they create, but um, but in terms of
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. First time. That's all right.
the story and the character.
You froze up. I think you were saying in terms of story is where it froze.
Uncharted. Oh yeah. So like in terms of story, like Uncharted, um, and like the stories of Uncharted were never that strong as far as I'm concerned. They had great characters that I cared about, but Uncharted is like Nathan Drake has to go get a thing, and then the bad guys show up, and then they take the thing, and then we have to get the thing back. That's kind of, But Last of Us is where I think they really shine, both on story and character.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Let's get into part 2 then. So I had some notes, some things we might go over on part 2. Let me take a look at what we got, where we're going to start here. Okay, we already went over the first point. What about, let's hop into graphics. That's pretty important, and aside from story. Graphics, I think this game looks amazing, and especially if you're playing it on a pro. This thing, and the good thing about this game is it's not a difference between pro and regular, really. I don't think they boost the resolution. I think they checkerboard it either way, and I don't think you get lower asset textures or anything, so I don't really know what the pro's doing. I don't have a regular PS4 anymore, but it does look really good on the pro, and I kind of like that they haven't made so many advancements for the pro where the regular console experience is not as good. A lot of them do that, and this one didn't.
Yeah, so I don't have a pro. I just have the base, and it still looks probably the best PlayStation 4 game that I've played. There's just so many, like the facial animations. Like there's a scene towards the end. We're in spoilers, right? We're talking about everything.
Yeah, I should have said that in the beginning. Spoiler all over this motherfucker. Spoil
Okay.
it.
So there's the scene in the very end, the fight, the showdown, right? There's Ellie is strangling Abby in the water. She's drowning her. And there's a fucking shot where she's holding her throat, and like that's probably one of the prettiest looking animations I think I've ever seen. It was insane.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in that game. It's like there's a scene where she's just taking off a shirt, and just the animation of the shirt coming off. I'm like, woo.
Yeah. Everything is mocapped. All the facial stuff. They had so many actors working on it, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. Even there's a fucking, what are these zombies called? I forget what they call them. I think they just call them infected, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a new infected monster in this one that's 3. What they call it? They call it the Rat King is the official name, because I guess these rats and during the plague they get stuck together, and then they just be like one creature, all stuck together and fucking gross and go through the sewer. But anyways, that's what it's called officially, I guess. The Rat King, and it's 3 different fucking infected, like fused together with all the mold and shit, and it's just one big boss fight you have to fight. They mocapped that. Like, I seen the mocap for it, and this is like fucking 3 people all in this rubber thing, like strapped to each other. I was like, that's crazy. Yeah.
It looked good.
Yeah, it was good.
It looked fucked up.
That fight was a bitch. I almost turned the difficulty down for that.
It was stressful. I think I beat it in one go, but it was definitely stressful. A lot of running and gathering for sure.
Very little ammo.
Very little ammo.
Yeah. I almost restarted the difficulty, but then it said you have to go back, and I was like, no. I had already a couple checkpoints into the fight, so I was like, fuck that, we're doing it. Glad I did.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, graphics, nothing to complain about, I don't think, on either side, huh? Yeah. Gameplay. So, gameplay is very similar to the first. Third person, kind of stealth, action adventure, I would say. Lots of cover and ducking, and there's like a far sight mechanic where you get low, and then you can see the sounds, so you can see people walking behind a wall if they're making sound. The first one had some people say that it got repetitive in the combat and stuff. I'd agree with that towards the end. Like, when you're just fighting the same kind of thing over and over. But in this game, they've added a lot more nuance as far as how you can perform stealth kills, how you can perform normal kills, that they've made these encounters, I think, far more varied. And I didn't feel exhausted by the combat like I did in the first one. The first one, I just got tired of the combat that I was playing because the story was so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to get to the next part and see the next thing. Also, too, I was continuing to do that, and we'll get into why, because the story is told in a very particular way. And yeah, I think the gameplay was definitely better than number one.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I'd even go further and say the level design is way better. Like I remember I got stuck in this part where I probably played it like 10 times. I kept fucking dying. I don't remember specifically what chapter it is, but I just remember being around a bunch of houses and like everything's green. I'm in a neighborhood basically, and there's just people everywhere. And I remember getting caught so many times, and I would just book it, and like I'm running through this house, and like there's a crack in the wall, and I'm like sliding through, and like a lot of cool level designs that um, help you defeat this combat loop of all these people. And I thought that was missing in the first one for sure.
Definitely. Now that you say that, like it was hard to once you were seen to get away and do anything in number one.
Mm.
Number two, I got seen all the fucking time.
Yes.
And so you just run like a motherfucker, hide,
Mm-hmm.
and then wait till they're looking for you, and yeah, shank them in the neck.
And I think the dogs are a nice touch too. A different combat.
Fuck the dogs. First of all, I don't want to kill a dog in a video game. And then they make you like the dogs. They take you down the story. They're like, oh, this one dog is super nice, and this is the one you killed. I was like, fuck
Feel
that.
bad about it.
Yeah, I hate dogs in games. They're so hard. These ones weren't too bad. They were reasonable.
Yeah.
Because I remember when they first introduced the dog, they're like, oh, he can smell you, and then they do a little tutorial, like go into sight mode to see your scent trail that you're leaving for the dog. I never even really had to do that past that first tutorial part. I felt like a dog never really sensed me too greatly, so I was worried about that because sometimes the dogs in games are just fucking on your ass so constantly, and it's just a high pressure.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think they were too bad. I mean, yeah, they definitely, walked your path. The guy would be walking, and so you have to fucking move. But for the most part, you could just flank them and stab the dog in the fucking throat. And I don't give a fuck, dude. If there's a dog in the game I'm supposed to kill it, I will shoot it in the face.
That's fucked.
Well, because I've done it in so many games, I'm just.
Hey, these dogs did nothing. Holmes.
Well, all the other games I played that I've been forced to kill a dog, they did, yeah. So.
All right, yeah. So gameplay was pretty fucking awesome. Better.
Oh, and I also one more thing. I know I had a problem. I think a lot of people did in the first one. Will you be like with a group of people, whether it's Ellie or I forget the brothers that you with for a little while. But when you're in a group and you're trying to hide, they like run around and they're like running around the enemies, and the enemies don't do anything, so it looks kind of weird. And I think this game they did a better job of highlighting not doing that, basically.
They did a better job, but it still there's a couple times I'm hiding, and that NPC enemy totally saw my partner, and they didn't do anything. So
I guess they completely fixed it.
Yeah, but it wasn't overt like they were out there. They were, you know how the stupid ass characters are that you don't control. They're like, oh, well, what the fuck do I do? Just stand here and kind of hide. Yeah, but it was better. Let's get into some story, because my next thing is the controversy. I think it comes from the story. Would you agree with that?
A lot to unpack there, yeah.
Yeah. So, synopsis. We catch up with Joel and Ellie. I think the game, what did it say, 5 years later?
I think it's 4.
4 or 5. Yeah, it's a couple years later. And they've found, what's the new town?
Jackson.
They're living in Jackson, which is this badass town. They got a huge gate around it. They're doing patrols. They're keeping the infected in control around the town. Huge town. You know, they got farming and all. It's pretty much like a normal town. They have parties and little whatever that was. If you've seen the trailer where they're dancing and have the lights up and everything. And So after that, right? They're doing patrols, and how did it go? They go out on a patrol. Yeah, they go
Yeah,
out on a.
so Joel. The only reason why it's so fresh in my mind because I started replaying it recently. So Joel and Tommy go out on a patrol. In fact, the game starts with Tommy and oh no, I guess they come back. Doesn't matter. Tommy and Joel are on patrol, and that's set off camera. You actually don't play as Joel at all. And Ellie and Dina leave Jackson to go on their patrol, and then I guess I don't know if you remember, and then Joel runs into everyone's favorite character, and then kind of goes from there.
Yeah, Joel runs into this character Abby, who is super butch, super butch. She looks like WWE's China, but like blonde or something. She's got ponytail the whole time. I was just thinking, kept reminding me of that one song by Deltron 3030. Like he had one dread and fungus. She just had one thick ass braid. I feel like she never took it out the whole pandemic. It's been like that. And come to find out, she is the daughter of one of the main doctors who was going to, do the surgery on Ellie, pull out her brain and try and figure out why she was immune so they could cure everybody with the fireflies. You find that out a little bit later. And they have been, were they looking for him at this point? They had a lead.
Owen brought everybody there.
Yeah, what was the lead though that they got?
I don't remember.
Yeah, well, they got some kind of lead about two people that matched the description of Joel and Ellie. So they go out looking, and then they find him. Unbeknownst to the Abby group, they meet up, and Abby is in trouble. She's gonna die or something. She needs help, and Joel and his brother Tommy help her, and pretty selflessly. They didn't have to, and they help her, and they try to get it back with her group. They do meet back up with the group, and once they meet back up with the group, they introduce themselves and say, my name is Joel. I'm Tommy. You can come back to our camp and get some supplies before you're on your way. And then you start to realize what's going on. Once they hear the name, the whole group just kind of has this weird look on their faces, and they found him, right? So then I think it's Tommy who says, it sounds like you've heard of us.
It was Joel.
It's Joel? Okay.
Joel.
That's better for the story anyways. So yeah. Joel says, it sounds like you've heard of us, and I think they say something to the effect of, yeah. And then I think that they knock him out.
Abby shoots him in the leg, like point blank. I don't remember what she says, but she fucking shoots him right there in the leg.
Okay, Abby shoots him in.
And then he gives I think my favorite line of the whole game, which is like she pins him up on the wall, they're holding him down, and she tells the doctor to like put the tourniquet on or whatever, and he says something to the effect of, "Why don't you hurry up and give the speech you've rehearsed and get it over with?" I fucking love that line so much.
Yeah. Like, tell me what you planned on saying.
Yeah. And let's get this over with.
Yep. And they put the tourniquet on his leg because they don't want him to die from the gunshot. So it's obvious they want to torture him first. Whatever he has done is pretty bad to them. And I don't think they've revealed who she was at this point in the game, right?
Mm-mm.
No. So we know what Joel has done, but as an audience, we don't know how they relate to it, right? Correct. We don't know why they're pissed. So then, how did Ellie find them?
So at the same time that this happening, she's with Dina and they're at the weed place and they just got done having sex, whatever. And Jesse shows up and he's like,
don't just breeze over that. Yeah. Well, Dina's in the trailer. She's the lesbian girlfriend of Ellie. And they get a little hot and bothered. That was pretty hot and bothered
in the weed shop.
Yeah, in the weed shop, bro. Just sticky in more ways than one.
And then Jesse shows up and he's like, "Hey, some shit's going down or whatever." So Joel and Tommy didn't check in. And so Ellie freaks out and she's like, "Hey, you guys go off on this route. I'll go on this route." And then she stumbles upon the mansion or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she
Okay.
she breaks into the mansion. She hears all the commotion, and
Yeah.
then she breaks into the room.
So she hears the commotion. She can tell something's going bad. And then she gets into the room. I think you kind of have a pan of her opening the door slowly, and you kind of see Abby smashing Joel with a golf club, and then she gets hit.
Yeah.
It's like boom, someone was by the door. She gets knocked out, and then she comes to, and it's kind of her perspective, looking floor level at Joel being beat.
Who looks like a fucking bloody mess.
Yeah. It's
pretty awful. Yeah, pretty awful.
Golf club. It reminded me a lot of Glenn's death in The Walking Dead.
Yes.
A lot. Because that was pretty gruesome, but didn't last nearly as long.
Mm-hmm.
So she's beating him, and Ellie's, crying, telling him to stop. And Ellie is begging with Joel to do something and try and defend himself. Obviously, he can't. And then, Owen tells Abby to finish it. They've been here too long. People are screaming. He realizes that he knows about the town. He knows the town is fucking huge. And if he mentions that, they were never going to go in this town and get them. That wasn't going to happen. They couldn't do that. But luckily, they just happened to meet him. So he knows they're going to send people. He knows they're probably got, hundreds, if not 1,000 people armed in there. So finish it. She gives the final blow. And then most of the people there want to kill Ellie and the brother, just so there's no witnesses, right? But then I don't remember who it was. I think Owen was the one who really stood up and said no.
I think it was Abby. I think I played it last night. I played like this scene,
mm-hmm.
and I think it's Abby, but I'm not 100%. It could have been Owen. It's one of the two. It's either Abby or Owen.
I think it was Owen. The Asian type guy, or maybe he was Hispanic. I can't remember. But he goes to try and kill Ellie, and Owen stops him. He gets in the middle, and I think Abby joins him.
Yeah.
So I think it was both of them, but he initiated it. Saying if we kill them, we're no better than Joel. Mm-hmm. We still don't know why they don't like Joel at this point. And then, so they leave, and they spare them. Big mistake. You don't spare anybody, my friend. You gotta kill the dogs, too. So from that point, where does that bring us to? Is that our first flashback?
You have to ask that again. You broke up a little bit.
What does that bring us to in the story after Joel's death? Is that the first flashback? I think it is.
No, it cuts to Ellie at her home, and Tommy stops by.
Oh, yeah. Tommy stops by, says, we got to do something. We got to kill these motherfuckers.
And then I think after that, it's the funeral. It's the tombstone, the walking through the house.
Yep. And so there's some sad scenes, and then they create this kind of pact that they're going to go out there, and they're not going to stop until she's dead. Right? And then it's not as fresh in my mind. You go ahead and fill in these gaps for me.
Well, so I didn't play as much of it as I wanted to this week, but I did play everything that the prologue, I guess we call it, of the story. So I got through the Joel death because I feel like I needed to see that again. And then I kind of just went back to the main screen and just kind of jumped around into the game and my favorite moments. So I actually didn't go much further than that. Go ahead. Oh, I was saying, but I think after Ellie walks through Joel's house and finds out Tommy Lee has left, I think it cuts to Seattle day one, and Dina and Ellie are already. I think the first flashback actually isn't until later on when we get them, Joel and Ellie at the museum. I think that's the first flashback, which is later on. I think it's after day one.
Yeah, so they set out on this epic quest for murder and revenge. Yeah. And it's set in Seattle, which is pretty cool.
Pretty cool, yeah.
Us Bryans are from the Pacific Northwest, Washington. One of us moved out of Washington like a loser. Wasn't me. Anyways, so yeah, they get to Seattle, and Seattle looks really fucking awesome because it's just
Yeah.
fucking green. The plants have taken over all the buildings, which I kind of find kind of bullshit. It's like, seriously? It's only been what, 12 years or something since the outbreak, and these motherfuckers act like it's fucking ancient dinosaur times. Just these vines have come through these massive
Yeah.
structures, and every piece of cement has a plant growing out of it. I'm like, oh, come on, it's a little crazy. I think it
It
would
looks cool
look,
visually though.
yeah, it looked really cool, but I think in real life, that would take probably 100 years
Yeah.
to look like that. But anyways, it looked awesome with the green organic versus the the man-made structures. Really cool.
Concrete and yeah.
Yeah. So they go on this quest, and here's the controversy. Here's what starts happening. All of a sudden, when you start getting some good story, I was like, oh shit, yeah, Ellie, I'm loving this. Let's go kill this bitch. And then they flip the script on you. I think this is what everyone had a problem with. I haven't really read what people didn't like about it. I just know what I didn't think was the greatest thing about it. Is they make you be Abby. They put you in the butch bitch.
Mm-hmm.
They make you the bodybuilding Joel murderer. When when you have become so invested in Joel and Ellie's relationship since number one, and now they want you to be the murderer. I'm gonna hold on because I think we're losing audio. We'll wait till we're back.
Hold on, wait till you're back.
There we are.
There you are.
I waited.
Buffering.
So they want you to be the murderer, right? And I get it. They're gonna try and humanize her. I knew it instantly. I was like, oh fuck, they're gonna try and humanize this chick, so you don't want to kill her or something. It's not gonna work. Anyways,
Which
so
is
that's
good. I want to get to that, but I think that's a good thing that didn't work, and I'll explain why.
yeah, it didn't work because we're too far invested. We love these characters, and it would feel like a betrayal for us to give her too much of a pass, you know. And you could start to empathize with her a little bit, but the amount that I think they wanted you to was a little too much, and it almost felt like you were betraying how much you really loved Joel.
Yeah.
If you were to do that. So you're playing as her, which is a big portion of the game.
It's almost half of it, yeah.
Yeah, big portion. And they start doing this thing where they keep giving you flashbacks, where you're gonna be Abby, like during the time Ellie first came to Seattle. You're gonna be Abby during the time right after she killed Joel. And I didn't like that either, because the whole time I'm wanting to get this story rolling, dude. I want to know more about who they are, why they did it. I want to know what the fuck Ellie's doing, how's she going on her quest. But then they keep throwing me back in time to try and explain some other things. And I didn't like that because I was like, dude, just get to fucking like, here's the timeline, right? Here's the end of the game. Here's the beginning of the game. And we're playing as Abby, right in the middle. And it keeps throwing us back here. Pow! Play this. Wait, now we're going to play this. I'm like, dude, I want to get over here.
Yeah.
I want to see what the fuck is happening now and what's going on. So that kind of irritated me. I'm just trying to like fight through those parts to get back to the current timeline story.
Yeah. So when the switch happens, the switch happens at kind of a shitty moment because it's this epic climactic moment, right? And then it just cuts to like Seattle Day One. Or no, actually, I think it cuts to Abby's flashback, and then it cuts to Seattle Day One for Abby's perspective. And I will admit that when that happened, it all just like it was the first time in the game where I wasn't excited to keep playing. It was just like, fuck, I know what you're doing. Now I have to play the 4 days I just played as Ellie over again, but through Abby's point of view. And so I got it. That was my very first initial reaction. But I will admit, the longer I played, the more I got drawn in. Now, I don't know if I liked Abby all that much, but I will say that when I look back on my favorite moments of the game, I think the moments in her timeline were, I think, my favorite. So like examples of like crossing the fucking sky bridge with Lev, fighting the Rat King in the ground zero of the Seattle hospital, the going to Seraphites Island, which we should probably talk about Seraphites. What else was there? The fucking being hung in the forest, and then you get saved, and all of a sudden you're in the forest, like lit by torchlight, and he's infected her and swarming you. Like all these moments were so fucking dope. Whereas Ellie's was still great, but Ellie's was more kind of the same as the first, which is go into buildings and grab a couple things. Actually, that's not true. I enjoyed what was in the hospital when she's chasing after that woman and she ends up beating her to death. That whole sequence was pretty crazy too.
That was
and,
pretty
like,
cool.
The red light, yeah. So I guess there were a few good moments I liked from Ellie's timeline, but I will admit that a lot of things that I remember about the game is from Abby's.
Yeah.
So
timeline. What he's talking about is chasing that girl. She was one of the girls in the group that killed Joel. And so she's got a list of all of them. I don't remember how she got it, but she found out names doing some research, and she's just going through killing them all. She wants Abby because she's the one that delivered the blow, but she's fucking killing anyone that had any involvement, which is pretty brutal. But with the Abby timeline thing, yeah, of course your favorite moments were with Abby because those were most of the moments in the game, and they didn't have to be. Could have been Ellie doing some cool. Could have been Ellie doing some cool shit, and that's what I didn't necessarily like. I kind of like, I didn't hate it. I like that they're trying to. They were pulling some episode 8 shit, where they're trying to do what you didn't think was going to happen next, just to do it, and
sure.
A lot of it worked. It was a pretty cool game, but I think that particular part didn't. I could have easily done with a little bit less Abby and more Ellie.
It sucks because I wish that Abby was introduced in the first game. You know what I mean? Like, I wish we would have had a little more backstory of Abby before this game. I don't think it would have been as controversial. Like, if she was already established in the world, you know what I mean? Because she just dropped into the sequel, and she just murders Joel for we don't know why until halfway through the game. Yeah. And so it's like we already have this bad impression of her. But I feel like if we already knew her in the first game, like even if it was a couple scenes here or there, I don't think it would have been as controversial as it ended up being.
Well, exactly. She didn't exist in the first game. She was the doctor's daughter. No, she wasn't. She was just she was made up. She was made up so they could have this story arc where they want to turn it on its head. So where I thought the story was going when they first did this was that they were going to have you kill Ellie too, because she's going through and killing your friends. That's where I thought the whole thing was going. I was like, don't you fucking dare, dude. The whole time I'm playing, I'm like, oh, dude, because there's near the end, you're fighting Ellie, and I'm thinking this is it. Like you're running around and she has
like the theater. Are you talking about the? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and she has more weapons than you, so you're having to hide and go try and stab her and grab her when she's not looking. And I thought you were gonna, it was gonna be cinematic, but I thought once you finally did it, that was gonna be the end of the game. Like, okay, you just killed Ellie.
Which would have been worse.
Which would have been totally terrible. Would have been way more controversy.
That was the first time in the game where I paused it and I looked at Sarah. She watched me play most of the game, and I looked at her like, I don't want to do this. Like they turned Ellie into a fucking boss in a video game. I was just like, I don't want to fucking do this. I don't want to fight Ellie. This is bullshit.
Yeah. And then, like, when you would die on that part, I would die. I died a couple times. Like, it was the same animation where Ellie would just, like, shoot you in the gut with a shotgun. Mm-hmm. I was like, boom, there's the end of the game.
Done.
I thought the first time it happened, because it's such a cinematic death where it takes the camera away, it shows it happen. I thought it was going to be, like, go into a cutscene, and that was going to be it. That could have been a good ending if they would have done it right. I could have liked that. Like, oh, shit, just... You were her, but that you thought you were going to kill Ellie, but then Ellie kills you, and then now that's the end. That would have been pretty cool, but that's not the way it went.
No.
And so you're talking about the Seraphites, or a group in Seattle, and the other group that Abby is part of is the Wolves.
Yeah, the WLF, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just call them
the Wolves. I think it was WLF.
because that's too
Wolves,
fucking much.
The
But they're kind of
Washington Liberation Front.
yeah, they're a paramilitary group that started to get like the federal troops out of Seattle, because once it all went to shit, the federal troops, there's no longer any central government, so the federal troops were on their own. But now they had all these guns, and I guess they were being super oppressive, like would happen in the end of a world times, and you have tanks and fucking guns and all this shit. So they became like the top dogs and were oppressing everybody.
It was kind of cool to see, like another one of my favorite moments of that. That's nothing to do with Abby, but when you see at the Seattle Seahawks stadium when it's all fucking
that was cool.
Dope. Yeah,
that was pretty sweet.
But it was cool to see like their living environment versus Jackson, where Jackson's more kind of wholesome, local, like hey, and then you got this kind of more militarized and formation in Seattle. It was kind of cool to see the differences between the two locations.
Yeah, because the Wolves are run. I'll make it seem like it at first, but they're run by a madman.
Mm-hmm.
He's totally like, if you cross him, you're dead. Even if you're one of his people, if you do anything out of the norm, you're dead. You're having to like check out the weapons. It's a very militarized regime. You got rations, certain things you can and can't do. Yeah.
And they're at war with the Seraphites, or the Scars, which is a fucking crazy religious cult, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Would you say, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you get, I don't know, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but the woman who started the Scars, is she dead? I don't remember. Are they just worshiping a dead, because I was kind of bummed that you didn't get to meet her. It was kind of cool that it was like environmental storytelling. Like I do like that, like all the murals you see and kind of the little dialogue you have back and forth.
Yeah.
But I thought at some point you were gonna meet her, but maybe she was already dead.
She's dead. She was like a Mother Mary, Gandhi, Jesus type figure to these people. I think they started out as just like a almost Christian type religious group. I think that they read the Bible and they were trying to fight the federal agents who had taken over. But they got a little further and further and further away from that and started creating their own writings, or she did. She started writing her own like religious texts that they were now taking as their word. And she became like this messiah figure because she was trying to save everybody from the federal agents. I forget what they're called, but they're just former military type people. And so she's trying to liberate Seattle. And then I think she's eventually killed because now she's like a martyr, that they use her likeness, and everyone, I think they're always saying like, may she bless you, or may she be with you, or something like that.
Yeah.
But they're fucking crazy, because to be one of them, you had to shave your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're called the Scars. You have to like cut these Joker type scars on your mouth, and I think it was to symbolize like the pain. They said the pain, and then you have to go through the pain of it healing to be washed anew. Because they didn't like, what didn't they didn't like the old world, apparently. Like they like this new world where there's no commerce and all this, all the sinful stuff. Yeah. They liked it, so they're trying to remake, and they thought it was a good thing almost, because now they could just start from the ground up and be wholesome and have no possessions and just. So yeah, it was a weird group. They try to make you like them by introducing the character you talked about, Lev. He's this trans boy.
Like, former member of the Scars who ran away with his sister, which we looked up her name last night, and I don't remember what it was.
Because it don't matter. And then they tried to stir in some controversy about the he identifies as a boy, but he's a female.
Biologically,
yeah. Try to throw in some controversy there, but I didn't get that. I mean, the character would have been the same if it was a little boy, little girl. I think it probably would have helped the story more if it was a little girl, because then it'd be the parallel of Abby forming this relationship with this little girl, like Ellie, just from having spent so much time with her. Like Joel didn't want anything to do with Ellie, but then the journey across the country, he started to see her like his daughter and started to really care for her and love her until ultimately he sacrificed what could have been the lives of everybody just to save her. And so I think that could have been a really cool parallel that they didn't really get into too much, which I thought they would.
Which they tried to, because I guess you can look at Abby's storyline as like a mirror of the first, in terms of like Joel and Ellie, like a father figure, daughter, and Abby's kind of like a mother figure to Lev. But yeah, in terms of the controversy with Lev, I don't really care about it. Like if you want to have a trans character in a game, like I do it, I don't care. Yeah. I start to care when it gets pandering, and I don't think this game. I think it kind of walked the line, but I don't think it was too offensive. Like I was playing it last night because, like I was mentioning earlier, one of my favorite moments of the game is the Sky Bridge, and so that's when actually after Joel's death, that's the first thing I jumped into. And there's a great fucking moment when they're climbing the building. They come across a group of scars, and one of them shouts out, "Hey, there's Lily, and she's got a wolf with her." And then you like take him out, whatever. And then when the dust settles, Lev is like, "Hey, did you hear what they called me?" Abby's like, "Yeah." And Lev's like, "Do you want to ask me about it?" And Abby's like, "No, it's okay." And that was like, that's all you needed. You know what I mean? Like, cool. We understand
exactly
what's going on. You know what I mean?
I don't care.
But then they have the cutscene. Then they have the cutscene that's like, oh, they banished him because she's trans, and it's just like, so they kind of walk the line. Like they didn't need that cutscene to do that. Like they already had the dialogue of like, we get it. That's who you are, and that's cool. Like that's awesome. Let's move on. Just like how Ellie's gay. Ellie's gay. We move on. There's no guy chasing Ellie being like, "You gay son of a bitch," like because you don't need that because Ellie's just gay. That's who she is. And let's move on. You know. But
yeah, put her on a cop car. Woo woo woo. You don't need
so
to.
They did kind of flirt the line of pandering and you know.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a boy. Looks like a little boy in the video game. I thought it was a boy. They went out of their way to tell me he truly wasn't. Yeah. I mean, isn't that the point? Doesn't he want to be a boy? I thought he was a boy. Boom. Right, mission completed. But no, you had to be like, no, that's fucking Lily. And I was like, and I'm like, first of all, I understand that these guys are crazy religious and that you can't. Yeah. There's another thing we should mention is that she, when she was Lily, was arranged to marry like one of the head guys. Yeah. And she's like 12 or something, right? And one of the head guys, he's like old dude. And so they were fucking all these little kids to try and fucking make more of their own people. So I'm sure that's a big reason why she wanted to leave. And she's like, "Fuck that, I ain't a girl. Yeah. Ain't nobody get me."
And he wanted to be a warrior. He wanted to fight. He didn't want to be a fucking housemaid or a housewife or whatever.
Which being a woman didn't exclude you from. Yeah. To be clear, in their group, because his sister was a warrior, and that's why he wanted to be one. But they pick your life for you, and that's not what they picked for her, for Lily. Mm-hmm. And the point I was getting at is that in the fucking desolate not utopian, but apocalyptic future taken over by fucking mine-eating spores and zombies.
I know where you're getting at.
Ain't nobody give a fuck. If you're gay, if you're fucking trans, you don't even mention that to people at that point. You just mention to people, "Hey, I'm not a zombie." Fuck yeah, I love you. That's awesome. I haven't met a non-zombie in forever. You're not like, "Hey, I like fucking baseball. I'm fucking a trans woman. You know."
Don't judge me.
I was like, nobody gives a fuck. That's why I talked about the religious group, because they're gonna.
Yeah. To play devil's advocate,
an argument could be made that they really care.
Yes.
But nobody gives a fuck.
Just
Nobody cares. I'd make a venture that most people don't care right fucking now in our world. There's just a few assholes, but
out there. Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what you do. Yeah. Put that dress on, baby. Go ahead.
Be who you want to be. Be who you want to be. Yeah.
Do it. Do it, but don't get mad when I poke a little fun at it, because we're having fun here.
Yeah.
That's all it is. But yeah, that character was a little unnecessary. I didn't mind it. I think there is some controversy about that. I don't find it controversial, but
Just a bunch of trolls being
yeah,
assholes.
but I did find it a little bit out of place and a little weird. But Devil's Advocate, Ellie being gay was a pretty big controversy for the first one. So
Right.
But of course you knew she was gay. When you fucking see that this girl looks exactly like Ellen Page, I knew she was gay, first of all. And the fact that she wasn't, yeah, I just knew.
Yeah.
And they didn't even introduce that till the DLC, I think, right?
Yeah, the Left Behind.
And not only is she gay, her girlfriend was black, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Boom!
Yep.
She's got it.
Progressive as fuck.
Mm-hmm. You don't even fucking mention her ever again. It's like Ellie doesn't even care
Yeah,
about
it's weird.
dead little black girlfriend. I was like, dude, wasn't that your first love? I don't give a fuck. I don't even remember her name. I thought maybe they'd call back to it somehow, but no, they didn't.
Well, speaking of that, did you like Dina at all? Did you connect with Dina at all?
I like Dina.
Or Jesse for that matter, the new characters.
Dina was the girlfriend of Ellie. Jesse was Dina's boyfriend in the city before Ellie. And so they're all buddies, and they all go on their, what the hell do they call those? Their patrols together.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I love Jesse. He's Asian. I'm Asian. I was like, dude, this guy's cool. He's pretty cool. He is cool with them being gay. He's cool with his ex-girlfriend being with his buddy he's like, ah, fuck it. You guys, that's cool. And we'd be remiss to say so cool even that Jesse impregnated Dina.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Dina was come to find out is pregnant, and we find that out in Seattle. And so that kind of derails Ellie's revenge tour because she's got to take care of Dina, and Dina can't go on anymore. And so that's what kind of slows it down. But and he's pretty cool with it. I feel like he's going to try and work it out with all them, and then what do you know? Next thing,
shot in the face.
Fucking shot in the face.
There's a funny bit of dialogue in the very beginning. It's right after. Oh, so the game opens with Joel playing guitar for Ellie, or Joel giving Ellie the guitar, and he plays a song for her, or whatever. And then it cuts to 4 years later, or whatever, 4 or 5 years later, and Ellie wakes up with a knock on her door, and it's Jesse. And he's like, hey, come on, let's go. And he goes, hey, I heard what happened last night. Like, what the fuck? And Ellie goes, yeah, sorry, like, she kissed me. It probably didn't mean anything. And he's like, I was talking about the fight. Wait, hold on, wait. Dina, you kissed Dina? And like the moment on Ellie's face, she's like, fuck, busted. I don't know. It was kind of a funny little interaction between Ellie and Jesse.
And a lot of that stuff that's in the trailer isn't in the game.
Like what?
I don't remember exactly what, but I remember. Well, hold on.
Because the parties, I mean, it was a lot later in the game than I thought it was going to be, but the parties at the very end when like her and Dina are dancing and. Yeah,
I'll have to go back, but I think they had more in the trailer of that than they did in the game. I read that somewhere, but I don't remember the trailer particularly well. But so take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, Jesse was cool. I agree. I like Jesse a lot. I wish we had more time with him, but.
Arguably, thinking of it now, Jesse is the most likable character in the game. He never did anybody dirty. He always chose the high ground no matter what. Like at one point when, what's the brother's name, Joel's brother? Tommy goes to Seattle too to help them after them. They realize that Tommy's in trouble and they have the option to go help Tommy or continue on to kill Abby. And Jesse... We've got audio. Nothing? We back?
Oh, we're good. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. We're going to figure this shit out eventually. It's the first episode. But, so, there's that fork in the road where they either go help Tommy or they go kill Abby. And Ellie wants to go kill Abby. And Tommy says, no, can't do that. Sorry. And he's absolutely adamant about it. He's like, have fun.
Yeah.
Okay, he would save you. I'm going to save him. The most likable character. He always chose a high ground. He was cool with everybody. He was always super supportive. Like, I loved him as a character. Yeah. And I think that's why they killed him like that. It's like they're trying to show you it doesn't matter how good you are.
Yeah.
Like,
you're fucked. Yeah.
This is how this world is. You just fucking end it. But yeah, I really liked him.
I liked him a lot too.
That's the next DLC. It's called Jesse.
Jesse and Dina. I thought Dina was kind of cool. I like Dina a lot. I don't know if I loved her, but I think, she was cool. I don't have any problems with Dina. I like that, I know I'm skipping way ahead, but there's a scene towards the end at the farm when Tommy comes and Dina basically fucking throws him out and chews him out outside. I love that scene a lot. I'm like, fuck yeah, Dina, get that motherfucker.
But yeah, let's get through the story and get to the fucking.
Yeah, let's get to the end. Yeah, so the ending is another controversial.
So we were at the theater, right?
Yeah. So Ellie and Abby's timeline converges at the theater. Abby fights Ellie in a boss battle and beats the shit out of her, and almost kills her. But Lev stops Abby, and then Abby says basically like, don't let me see you again, or you're fucking dead.
Yep.
And then that's, cut to black. They kind of go their, Lev and Abby go their separate ways. Ellie and Dina go their separate ways, and we start at the farm.
So that's twice that Abby spared her.
Correct. And I also like the line at the theater in the lobby, not the theater, before the theater battle, when there's like a standoff between Abby and Ellie. Abby's like, we let you live and you fucking wasted it. I love that. I love that line. Anyways, so now we're at the farm.
Yeah, we're at the
farm. After all the shit's gone down.
We're at the farm, and it seems like this is the end of the game. When you get to it, you feel like this is it. Oh, shit, this is it? This is kind of a lame ending. So it's kind of a happily ever after ending. They didn't get to kill Abby, but it feels like they're kind of over it. They're having the baby. Oh, they did have the baby. They have the baby, and they have this house out in the middle of nowhere that seems pretty nice, and like they don't have to worry about zombies. And I was like, damn, this is a fucking weird ending. I guess I kind of get it. But then Tommy comes by the house, and so we see. You think Tommy's dead at this point.
Yeah.
Because they just shoot him, and anyone who gets shot in this game, they're dead.
They're dead, yeah.
Yeah. So you think he's dead. So he comes to the house, and he has a lead that somebody had traded with this big butch girl that was that had a little boy with her, a little Asian boy, and so same description. And so.
And Ellie has PTSD. There's a couple cool moments, or one cool moment at the farm when she has a fucking incident.
Yeah, she's fucked up.
PTSD, yeah. Anyway.
And she's killed a bunch of people now. She's killed innocent humans. She's killed a pregnant woman.
Yeah.
That's part of her journey. And so yeah, he has a lead, and Dina kind of talks to her, and Ellie says, "No, we're done with that. We're not doing that." And then Tommy gets pretty pissed. He's like, "You promised me." Tommy can't do anything now. He's pretty fucked up. His leg's fucked up from like getting shot, so he can't go out. He can't do it on his own. It's kind of a bitch move. I can't go avenge my brother, so you should.
It's a fucked up move for sure.
And so he leaves with this attitude, and you think that's gonna be pretty much it. But then Ellie starts thinking about it.
She can't leave it alone. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she gets up in the middle of the night and packs all her shit. She's gonna leave. Dina comes down, confronts her, says, "Well, if you leave, you ain't gonna be with me no more. We're not waiting around. We're done." And she leaves anyways.
Just fucked, man.
So, yeah, she goes finding Abby. Abby is now on a quest to find the remainder of the Fireflies. Mm-hmm. She's got a lead about them, but then runs into this other group that is doing human trafficking. They're like catching.
So fucked up, yeah.
They're
like
catching
bikers or whatever.
Yeah, they're catching humans. I don't quite get what the fuck they're doing.
It's
they're
like slavery almost.
Oh yeah, they were. they were making them work the crops and all this shit. It's like
so fucked up.
basic shit you could have done on your own. But they're also doing some twisted like zombie fights where like they have they're
chained up in the outside of this mansion. Yeah,
they're turning people on purpose and then like keeping them chained up as like pets and using them to scare people and using them to just slaughter humans as they watch. So Abby gets captured by them on the way to the Fireflies after she finds this house with some Firefly shit, and she talks to what we think is the remainder of the Fireflies. They took all their branches and they moved to one central location because of Joel killing everybody, and they got too thin, so they needed to be in one spot, so they actually had some numbers, is what I got out of it. And so she's on her way there. Well, she's on her way leaving the house where she found all that shit, and then she gets captured. And then so you're now Ellie, you're going through. How did she find out where they were going to be? I forget. Did she
Ellie?
go? She goes to the house as well. That same house, right?
Yeah, so she doesn't go to the same house from what I remember. I think she goes to like the neighborhood-ish, and she comes across the same group of people, and they string her up or whatever, and then she basically tortures them to figure out where Abby is.
So then she gets the info about where they took her. Yeah. She doesn't know about the Fireflies.
Yeah.
My bad. She knows that Abby is taken by these people. Okay.
Correct.
So then she goes after them. So pretty much the game is like, holy shit, I thought the game was over, and now we're having these big set pieces with a bunch of enemies and shit again.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets to the town.
Which is in Santa Barbara, California, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Beautiful fucking sunset.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Gorgeous location, yeah.
Big contrast to the Seattle of the beginning. So she gets there with her intent of freeing Abby to kill her. Pretty crazy intent. Killing all these people just to get to her. They're going to kill her anyways. But she doesn't want somebody else to do it. She wants to do it. And so she finds out that Abby tried to escape with Lev. They're in the what they call it, the gallows?
Yeah, I think it's called the gallows.
Yeah, and so it's out by the ocean front. They pretty much are crucifying people. They have them like chained or shackled to like telephone poles that are on the beach front, and so the waves come in, and I think they could drown, but then they're also tortured too. And so she's out there on a stick, and she finds her, and she's like
shit.
Yeah, she's like she's been this buff bitch this whole fucking game, and then she's just kind of pretty scrawny.
Oh yeah, she's lost some pounds for sure.
Yeah, she's pretty scrawny.
Her hair is all fucked.
Yeah. Buffering. Buffered? We buffered? Damn it.
We're almost back. There we go.
Damn.
Yeah, she's like almost unrecognizable when Ellie finds her.
Yeah. And Lev is markedly older. We could tell it's been like 2 years or some shit. Like he definitely looks a little older. So she gets her down. And by this point, we should say that Ellie has been stabbed in the side. And I'm thinking when this all happened that she's on borrowed time. She's going to die. She has an infection in this wound, and she's bleeding out like the whole way. She's just trying to live long enough to kill Abby so she can die happy, kind of thing. So she gets her down. They're fucking, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, she gets her down, and then Abby says she knows where boats are, right? Because they need to get out of there because they're all looking for Ellie and them now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she knows that this isn't the place to kind of kill her. They need to get to a boat. And so they get to the boats together, which isn't like a big journey. They just kind of, there's some boats over there.
Yeah.
So they all kind of go. And then Lev gets in the boat and you know, Abby's gonna get in the boat. There's two boats. Abby has a boat. Ellie has a boat. And then Ellie just gives her that line, "I can't let you leave."
Yeah, it's actually Ellie is gonna let them go, and as Ellie approaches her boat, she gets that fucking flash of Joel's bloody ass, broken in fucking head. It's like a quick little flash, and she's like, and she turns around, walks back over to Abby's boat, and she's like, "No, we're gonna have a fucking showdown right here, right now."
Yeah.
And she even threatens Lev, which is fun because Abby's like, "I don't want to fight you. I'm not fighting you." Like, no.
Yeah, Abby will not fight, but she puts a shank to Lev or something.
Yeah,
you know,
like a knife to Lev's throat.
yeah. And so they fight in like knee-high water. So it's a pretty cool set piece. And then you take control of Ellie, which Ellie wouldn't be able to fight this girl normally. This girl's a beast, but she's totally weakened. But so is Ellie. I mean, she's stabbed in the fucking side. And so it's a pretty cool little set piece where you have to dodge a couple punches and you throw a couple power punches. And it lasts a little while, and then tables start turning, you start winning. And then you're drowning that bitch in the creek. Like that scene you're talking about. Hold the
animation, just fucking,
fucking breathe.
Yeah.
Holding her under the water. I was like, yes, fuck yeah. Grab Lev too.
Get over here.
Just go, come here. No, I'm just kidding. He can live. But she needed to die. And she's drowning her. And then fucking something grabs a hold of her conscience and she can't she's dead. 5 more seconds under the water, she's dead. And she lets her up. And she couldn't do it. I think she starts crying. And she says, just go. You know, because she knows she's probably going to change her mind if she waits too long. Like, just go. And so they leave. And the end of the game is you coming back to that house where the happy ending happened the first time. And now Dina's gone. Baby's gone. House has been cleaned out. All Ellie's shit is left there. Oh, yeah. During the fight, Abby bites off, like right here. She bites off these 2 fingers on Ellie, on her right hand. And so she sees her guitar. She goes to play the guitar, and that's one little sad thing, is she can't can't do the notes anymore. And so she leaves the guitar. And she just walks away from the house, leaves all of her shit, fade to black. What do you think of that ending?
I think I love it, but I'm not. I'm not sure yet. I understand. I think you and I even kind of briefly talked about the ending a little bit on Facebook, and I kind of go back and forth. Like
Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold on.
All right, what's the last thing you remember?
We're frozen. You were just starting your thought.
Just starting. Okay. So I understand people's, like, you know, they want Abby to die, and that's why that's why people are upset. I kind of like that Abby lived, just for the fact that, like, it wouldn't have been satisfying, for a character, for Ellie's character, wouldn't have done anything for her. It doesn't do anything for us as viewers. I mean, maybe it would have. And I think it took that moment. It took her to go back to Santa Barbara and hunt her down and confront her to realize, like, fuck, like I know I'm kind of going off on a separate thing here, but I know a lot of people on the internet are kind of defining this game as like just revenge tale, which I do think that obviously this is a revenge, but I think there's a lot of layers to it. I think this game also deals with like obsession and addiction, and I think that these 2 characters are obsessed with fucking each other, right? And they needed some sort of resolution, and I don't think that killing one another would have solved whatever it is that's going on with them. So I like the idea that Abby is let go. And I do think that the actual ending, the farmhouse, is a huge fucking bummer, and it's kind of like, what was all that for? So I'm hoping that whatever Ellie just went
Yeah.
through makes her stronger and makes her move on. Um, I I imagine like because like you said, the ending is her walking off into the distance, cut to black. Um, and I should also say, when she's playing guitar, we get our final flashback, which is the most emotional moment in the whole game that I can think of, which is Ellie and Joel's final or last conversation they ever had with one another, and it's all
Which
about
which is
um,
Ellie forgiving Joel
yes, or
because
trying, yeah, coming, yes,
she has found out that Joel stopped her from being killed to save the world,
yes,
and she is pissed. She wanted to die. She wanted to die on that cross for everyone else to live. And so, yeah, that scene is her finally coming to deal with it and saying, you know, I love you. All is
we can
forgiven.
try, yeah, we can try, you know. And so what I took of that, and maybe I'm reaching a little bit, but what I took from that scene being specifically placed there is that if Joel did to Ellie, you know, like whatever Joel did to Ellie with saving her, or whatever, and Ellie was able to forgive Joel, that maybe if she goes back to Dina, that maybe Dina will forgive her. So in my mind, that's where Ellie's going, and that's why that flashback is where it is. It's because she's remembering what it took for her to forgive Joel. So maybe if she goes back to Dina and the kid, maybe she'll be forgiven and they can move on.
Okay.
That may be a stretch, but
I think that's a bit of a stretch
yeah,
because the way they wrote the ending, she left. She didn't want to wait. She wasn't in the house. And they're not showing the meetup. So the way I'm taking it as, yeah, she was actually done.
yeah,
She had had enough. I think a better ending could have been just give 20 more seconds. You show her walking back to Jackson, them opening the gates, because earlier in the game, they said you'll always be welcome back because they didn't go back to Jackson. They were at that house.
yeah,
They told him you'll always be welcome back. Give us 20 more seconds. Her walking out the field and then walking into Jackson, gates open, all of them there to meet him. Tommy, Dina's there with the baby, and then maybe there's a little a look between them, and then Dina just embraces her,
yeah.
just a hug, and then you fade to black, just so we know it wasn't all
Everything's
for
all right.
nothing. There's a
Yeah,
happy. I
yeah,
think that would have been a far better ending, because
yes,
as of right now, she lost everything. She didn't kill fucking Abby. So was this for nothing? And the other thing is, like, you're gonna kill the fucking people that didn't kill Joel, all of them, even the pregnant bitch,
hmm
and you're not gonna kill Abby? I was like, kill fucking Abby. If anyone deserved to die out of these people, it was her, and she lived. I
yeah.
don't like the forgiveness. It's like forgiveness is for the weak. This is the new world.
But
Anyways,
again, she needed to forgive her. Otherwise, she won't. She's not going to change. Her character
well,
won't change.
to your point, and with that, the forgiveness theme, I think that's what the guitar. I think that's what the guitar was about.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Because remember, he only started teaching her guitar as a way to get forgiveness, as a way
Yeah,
to hang out again and rebuild their relationship after she found out. And I think the fact that she couldn't play guitar anymore was symbolic that she didn't need it anymore, because the forgiveness was now hers to give, and she gave it. And so
yeah,
she was fine without the guitar because she had Joel now in her heart, and she felt okay with the death, and she was okay with Abby living. And so the guitar, the symbol of forgiveness for all this, like, wasn't needed anymore, and she was content with just leaving it behind. That's what I
yeah,
got out of that.
yeah. That makes sense. I don't think that's a stretch. But I will say that he didn't. He gave her a guitar when she was still young. That's actually the first scene of the game. Like when Joel's cleaning the guitar and he's talking to Tommy, he's revealing to Tommy like what actually happened. They go
Yeah,
back to Jackson, and then he gives Ellie, when she's young, a guitar, and he
yeah,
teaches her through. So,
yeah. But
um,
I thought he didn't start teaching her until she found out, right? Because didn't he say, like, hey, I'd like to come over maybe and teach you guitar. I thought that wasn't that his in to be able to come over like once a week or something?
No, that was still the beginning. Yeah.
Okay.
This
Well,
is
there's my
very
fucking.
I only know that because I just played it last night. So.
Hey, that was a good sounding ass theory though I had. That was a
You're
good
on
thing.
Something. You're on a roll. You're on something.
The guitar is friendship and forgiveness and love.
Forgiveness. She don't need it no more.
She doesn't need it because the love is here. It's not in the guitar. It's here now.
She gave for forgiveness. She did it.
She wailed for forgiveness. Okay. So yeah, that's the controversy. That's the game.
Hold on, I want to make sure.
What you got? A mice and men?
Do we want to talk about Tommy at all?
What about
it's
Tommy?
Kind of I don't know. It's just like he was barely in the game. I thought he would be more.
Yeah.
Essential. He kind of comes and goes.
He wasn't a big part of the first game.
That's true.
I mean, they didn't do much to endear us to his character in this game. That's for sure.
I love the fight with Abby though. When you don't know it's Tommy and you're like, you're getting gunned down, and you're like, oh fuck, that's probably Tommy.
That fight.
That's kind of cool.
That fight's a bitch.
Yeah.
Fucking sniper fight where everywhere you run, they're sniping you and they're just throwing zombies at you the whole fucking time. I was like, dude, are you fucking serious?
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. I was cussing during that part. I was pissed.
Fucking
Tommy! And yeah, I don't really. Tommy's kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your fucking brother, bro. It's not. She's not related to Joel at all.
Right.
They developed this relationship, which is great, but that's your blood, and she's the one that leaves to go get the revenge first, and then you decide to go after, and then after that,
he lies to her. He tells her to fucking chill out in Jackson, and then we're not going to do anything, and then he fucking leaves first.
Oh yeah, he left first.
And then his wife tells Ellie, like, hey, Tommy went out there, you should go get him and help him out.
Yeah, he left first.
I don't know why he didn't take Ellie, but whatever.
Yeah, who has consistently proven to be pretty good. Yeah, and so he's just, and he doesn't get much accomplished at all. He's a little bitch.
Yeah.
He's pushed into the fucking water by Abby. That's the last thing he ever really did, other than get shot. Other than get shot a bunch of times.
And get shot in the face, yeah, and then get Ellie to fucking leave her happy ending to.
And then blame Ellie for them not fucking killing Abby. It's like, where the fuck were you?
You got shot in the fucking head.
Like, hey, if I wouldn't have been shot. But you were, bitch.
Yeah.
You were shot so many times. Like, fuck, kill Tommy. Keep Jesse. What the fuck's going on here?
That would have been, a better choice.
Yeah. But
I don't think I have anything else in my notes.
All right.
I don't want to. I'm sorry. I mean, you were on something there.
What was I on to?
I don't know. You were about to say something.
Oh, I think that pretty much covers it. We just maybe should do a. I know this wasn't particularly a review. It's just kind of our thoughts, and this is kind of a review. We touched on a lot of things reviews touch on. Yeah, it's a review. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I think we should give it a score. Maybe we want to go. We want to do the 100 scale. Or are we doing the 10 scale?
Either. I don't care. Let's do 10 scale, I guess.
Okay, 10 scale. I don't like to give out 10s unless it's fucking so amazing that it stands on its own as a 10 no matter what. Dude, these are the legends of video games, like fucking Super Mario Brothers 3. Shit like that. I can't even think of very many 10s off the top of my head at all. So, that being said, I think I'd give this one out of 10 with the problems we talked about and the not so satisfying ending. I'd probably give it a I don't want to. I got a score in my mind, but I got a feeling that you're going to think it's too low.
If it's a 2, I'll be offended. We got to stay on this fucking thing. We got to talk some shit out. But as long as it's not a 2,
I think it's a 8.9. I want to give it a 9, but at the same time, I feel like number 1 is probably like a 9.2, which is close to excellence. And I just felt like this one fell short a little bit. Still an amazing sequel, still well worth your time and really cinematic. I love these kind of games. But you know what? I'll bump it up. It's a 9. 2's a 9. Number 1 is a 9.5. I feel more comfortable with that. Because I feel like if 2 is anything less than a 9, is going to get misconstrued as, oh man, 2 sucked.
Yeah.
9. It's my score. Sticking with it.
To me, it's a 10. No, yes. It's not perfect. I don't think.
Well, then how is it a fucking 10?
Because even a 10 out of 10 game isn't like Super Mario wasn't perfect. There's no game that's perfect.
Have you played Super Mario? Have you played Super Mario? Motherfucker with the shells.
It's a 10 out of 10, but it's not perfect because nothing's perfect. But in my experience, the way it's unlike any other fucking game out there. Like it really is in terms of narrative. Like it's just different. It's a fucking it sets the bar for narrative storytelling. Like, and it inspires other games to be the same. We wouldn't have the 2017 God of War without The Last of Us. God of War is heavily influenced after The Last of Us. And I know that there's a lot of open world games that have great narrative, like Red Dead 2 has a great narrative. The Witcher, I haven't played The Witcher, but I hear it has a great narrative. Because all these games have great narratives, but this just feels so fucking different and so revolutionary, and it's just so fucking good. Like I beat it in 4 days, and I think it took me 20 hours, and I couldn't put it down, and it's just unlike anything that I played. So for that, I think the first is a 10 out of 10, and I think the second's a 10 out of 10, but I do prefer, as of now, I do prefer the first, but that could change.
1 is better. How are they both a 10 then?
Huh?
I said 1 is better. How are they both a 10?
Because I think the first is tighter. It's a tighter experience. I think I have nostalgia for the first. I think it's why I like it better.
It's a tighter 10?
It's a tighter 10. No, I think I just have nostalgia for it. You know what I mean? Like it blew my dick off. This one blew my dick off too, but not as, you know.
Now our viewers know that your 10s are bullshit.
I fucking hate rating games. I like recommend it or don't recommend it. I would say yes, I highly recommend it. Rating is like, you know, what is arbitrary numbers? These are arbitrary numbers. But
well, yeah, when you give everything a 10, it's arbitrary. Fuck, man. This hat's a 10. It's fucking awesome.
9.5. I don't know about the gray.
What the fuck? All right. Anyways, yeah, those are the scores. That's the word. This has been Bryan versus Bryan. I had fun talking with Bryan.
Yeah.
I hope you had fun watching it. Yeah, please like and subscribe. We're planning on doing this hopefully every week is our plan. We already have a plan for next week. Next week will be Halo Infinite. The controversy, the graphics, the Craigs. What will we have to say about this? I have a feeling not great things. We hope the best. Expect the worst when it comes to 343. Okay. That's all I got. You got any closing?
No, man, it's been fun. This is a great fucking first episode.
All right. Yeah.
Can't wait for the next episode.
All right. Yeah. Till next time.
Till next time.
Till next time. One name, one game. Later.